Take any other one from the commission order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business is public comment. Is there, and well, I'll explain the rules. Is there anybody in the room that would like to make board commissioners? On Zoom, is there anybody on Zoom that wants to make a comment to the board of commissioners? If there is, raise your hand, please. Have you seen anybody? Okay. Okay, number 3, consideration and adoption of agenda.
Any changes? No changes, and except I would ask if the board just I should have consolidated. If we could move 6F up to be adjacent with 6A, that will just allow Eric to take care of his items together.
Yeah. I move to adopt the agenda as presented with the change of having 6F to be right after 6A.
Second.
We move to second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, let's now move into our department reports, and first up is our LIPSIC, Local Public Safety Coordinating Council quarterly report. Jessica. Let's see her.
Some
Okay.
things.
We'll go ahead and move on. If she shows up, we'll move back around to her.
Really long.
Here comes Carol. Just in time. Just keep coming this way.
I have, Robin, you want to cover? I might, I have to send the big kids table, right?
I'm gonna
Sit
sit
right.
right, I don't want to be right off.
Right.
So.
Okay. Hang out. You want to come up?
So our first, like before it comes from, community council, is for the board.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We hired a new HR director, Sydney Miller, joins us today from Florida. He's in his second week, and I just thought I would bring him here and introduce him. And we've been talking about the importance of the counties and commissioners and the work that we do. So he'll hang out.
And I did spend 17 years in local government down in Georgia and Florida before I came here, so.
Okay, we'll just talk about prevention first. Does that work? For years and years, the alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention dollars went to the community mental health programs, to the counties, and they were under the CMHP administrative rules. I don't remember when, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe that changed and they got put under public health. But the counties, most of the counties initially still contracted with the community mental health programs as opposed to moving over to public health. Over time, that has shifted. And I'd say that many of the counties in Oregon, the public health programs are doing the ATOD prevention. In Morrow County, CCS has been the provider, but Redmond and I spoke recently about transferring that back. And Robin's in agreement, and Robin can speak to that. What we think it would look like is, I don't know if there's anything that you need to do. The CFAA, the County Financial Assistance Agreement, does not include it. So the contract that you signed with the state does not include prevention. It is over in Robin's contract. There is a contract that you have with CCS that says mental health, addictions, and prevention services. So I think if you want to change that and remove prevention, you can, and we can sign a new contract. I'm also fine if we don't change it and we just remove it the next go around. It's up to you and Justin, whatever you want. But we do, if you're in agreement with this transition back to Robin, then we just need to identify a date, and Robin has things that she'll do with the state for a plan and so on and so forth. So you mind if I can stop talking and talk about?
I was just gonna interject that with public health, it aligns wonderfully with us because we do a lot of community outreach. So the education and prevention piece kind of falls on us anyway. We're already doing tobacco prevention, so this includes alcohol and other drug prevention, and it's kind of the work that we do. I think absorbing that work should be in our capacity to do. I feel like. So,
It's not
I
a
don't-
large amount of money.
yeah, I don't
It's
feel like
about
a new
18,000.
position or anything is warranted. I think the work can be absorbed with the employees that we already have, if that was a concern. You have questions about that?
No, I'm gonna leave it to you. It's your department, so you know what it will entail and what your capacity is, so.
Yeah.
Personally, I think if you're in favor of it, I'm in favor of it.
If we do have a contract, I would like it adjusted just so we have our Ts crossed and Is dotted.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yes, I'm in favor. If that's the
Yeah, and I
decision
know
that you
we've-
both think makes sense, then.
Yeah, and I
let's
know
go
we've
for it.
spoken about prevention, like DUI prevention and stuff has been brought up in some of our lip-sync meetings and stuff, so public health should be providing the education and prevention side of that. Yeah. But yes.
Justin, do you have any, you're the one that's gonna adjust. the
Yeah, no, I mean,
contract, right?
correct.
I
We'll
think
have
it's
to work
just
on
removing
reading.
the word prevention.
Yeah, so I'll have to pull those up and we'll work on amending it. That shouldn't be an issue, but I'll email and reach out to you. We'll start working on that.
Fantastic.
Are you all comfortable? I mean, we could transition in November 1st if you're all comfortable with that.
You have to look through and see. It probably could be all right, but I have to look through the agreement to make sure, but yeah, it should be fine. I'll put it in.
I really do think, I think it's just striking the word prevention and then making sure that finance doesn't send us the dollars. Have them just keep them in the
That's all we can see.
Not sending dollars.
Yeah.
Is there a motion that you need to?
I think we'll come back and do it. I think there's a uniform agreement right now. So if there is an amendment that the BOC has to sign, then I think the action will be at that point. So I think we should be okay. I think if there's a consensus, I sense what's going on. And so we'll just amend it, bring it back then if it requires BOC approval.
Like a resolution or something first.
Or maybe even amended contract or remove some language.
We could have that before
That's the
the
plan.
next meeting and then that'll be in place by November
November
1st.
1st.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that we need to do for that? Great. I'll just keep going then. Thank you. I can't remember if last time I mentioned some changes that could come in the Medicaid funding from the big beautiful bill. This is not a political conversation here. These are just statements for what it will look like at the CCO level, and then as that gets passed on to CCS, and then your population that we're serving here. And this is if there are no changes, there's still discussion and lots of things could happen, but as is, the feds worked with the states to put together these projections. So this is what it looks like for Oregon and then passed on to EOCCO. In 2026, there's not that much that will occur. What the state will be required to do more of is to go through the rolls and make sure that those are not ineligible, are not, those that are ineligible are not receiving any Medicaid benefit. Really the same for 2027. Minus the work requirement. Which that's not insignificant, it's just that as long as folks that are receiving Medicaid and are not working, as long as they do work, then they're gonna continue to receive the Medicaid and the funds will still continue to come to CCS. If folks aren't working, then we would see a reduction in our funding. When you get into 2028, that's when you start to see some more significant impacts. $35 copay, which, anyways, just there's a $35 copay. They anticipate that there will be a percentage of people that will not seek services because of that or not continue services. So I'm a social worker. My biggest concern here is the kiddos. We have kids that are coming in 1, 2, or 3 times a week because that's the frequency that they need to be seen to keep them stable in the community. And a low-income family is going to struggle with paying $35 to $100 a week, $110 a week for those services. So there's that. I mean, you can just do the math and understand that I think would be significant and could be impactful. And that's where my biggest concern is. Adults, we're not typically seeing adults as often. The piece that they're still working through is the adults that are in residential services. So here at Lakeview Heights, we're delivering multiple services a day to them. If they have to pay a $35 copay for 3 services or 4 services a day, I mean, they can't afford that, right? They're on Social Security. So, and then they don't pay the copay, and then we can't bill. So that could be significantly impactful as well. We'll see how that plays out. Outside of residential, I'd say most adults are being seen anywhere from once a week to once a month. 28 to 32, all of those things that I just mentioned, as well as increased costs to the CCOs in Oregon and other states, and a tax, a provider tax. Basically, the provider tax is that if we receive $100, we have to pay the feds back 10%. So if CCS receives that, we have a 10% tax to pay on that. Again, not an insignificant amount, and there's still a lot that they're working on for that. So just putting it out there so that there's no surprises. And I think copays are great. I want to go back to that. I just do have a lot of concerns about it for the reasons that I just shared in those 2 populations, and would hate to see kids not get the services that they need. So, any questions or comments on that? Concerns?
I don't.
No, but it just said, it sounds like they're gonna pay you 90% of what they were going to. I mean, 10% tax, I mean, let's be real, you just get 90% of payment.
Yeah. 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 So I hope there are some changes, but I understand they need to balance budgets and all of that. So again, not wanting to get too political. Those are my big concerns about it. Okay, so the next document is the employee pulse survey. It's a really long document. I don't know if Valerie, I don't know, maybe you printed it. It's in your packet though. I'm not going to go through every page. I think it's important for you to get a feel, I've said this before, with the external factors that are influencing CCS services, as well as internal, or just to look underneath the hood. We did a pulse survey with all employees. At the time we did it, there was 460 individuals, 460 employees, 327 responded, 71% success rate. So that's good. It's a voluntary survey. We asked about 20 questions, and for all but 2 of the questions, 75% or so of the employees indicated that they were happy or very happy with whatever was going on, whatever the question was. So if you look at this first one, I feel valued at work. 28% strongly agreed, 50% agreed. You had some that were neutral, 15% disagree and strongly disagree was 8%. So that's just the first one. And then you have all of the comments. The two that were less than 75% are around workload and productivity. So just folks are busy and they're feeling overwhelmed. And so there's some opportunities there for CCS to take a deeper dive into that and look at ways that we can address it. Not to sound, I don't want to sound defensive, I just want to say there's not enough people in our workforce. So we're struggling to fill some of those clinical positions. And that's what's showing up there, especially in the clinical supervisors. Hard to find master's level clinicians that have the years of experience that the state requires to do the work. It's not specific to CCS, it's across Oregon and many other states, and people are just wanting to go into private practice and do more telehealth, which is great. Completely understand why. And in the CMHP business, we have to provide crisis. We have to show up in the hospitals. We need to meet in the community with law enforcement. We need to see kids in person. We just don't have that ability to do the telehealth. We do some, but not as much as somebody in private practice. And the paperwork requirements, documentation requirements are much less in private practice than they are here. So there's things that we can influence and some things that we can't. We're going to be looking at what we can, especially in those two questions. So any questions or comments about that, you can read it more. Maybe I've already went through it, but happy to answer that. Want you to know we're paying attention to it.
I mean, on the whole, having that level of response is impressive, and that, you know, there's on the whole positive responses.
Thank you.
And I also get the workforce issues. That's not unique, I think, to CCS or even to your field entirely. We get that level of comment a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for. I kind of geek out on this stuff, so I'm in the comments. That's the first place that I go to. Lots of good feedback there.
I guess I do have one question. Right at the end of it, it has the overall sentiment analysis. And it's got a little blue heart and a 1.4. And according to the little thing on the bottom that says negative, but it seems like all of the responses were generally positive. So
Do you have a page number on that?
that's literally the last one. So 127 out of 127.
Oh, I think that's the sentiment analysis for the very last question, which was meant to be. Well, no, 20 of 20 questions contributed to this sentiment score. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say that it's not, that there's something wrong with that number.
That's why I asked, because it didn't
Thank you.
make sense with what
That's
you
interesting.
read. Okay.
Yeah. Glad you mentioned that. I have not looked at the last page. The very last question was meant to be just a fun question, but also to make sure that folks have been paying attention. So, what animals carry their babies in pouches? The answer is globally any marsupial. But specifically, say kangaroo, wombats. Yeah. Okay, I talk about zero suicide every time I'm here. And so we do a newsletter every month. That's our newsletter. September is Suicide Awareness Month. So you've been seeing hopefully some promotion around 988. Put some yard signs up in the community supporting 988 and suicide awareness. I've been doing a lot on our social media pages, doing a t-shirt campaign within CCS. So that's been fun, answering questions every day in our organization around how to promote suicide prevention. And there's been no suicides in Morrow County since I last visited with you. I try to share that data as well, so that's all good. Good, one person. Has there been any suicides in Morrow County this year? Can't think of one, but I'm probably missing one.
Yeah, I believe there's been a suicide.
Okay. Okay. Since you're here, everything okay with crisis response from Morrow County Sheriff's Office?
Sure.
Do we need to visit after the meeting?
No, I think you're
Right.
right.
Okay,
They're doing a great job. So they keep in touch with us.
good, good. We have law enforcement liaison with from Morrow County, and I think it's been an amazing investment, yeah. Last document is the warm line quarterly report. I always share it with you. I just love the warm line, so it looks like last quarter we had, looking for the total number of calls, I want to say it was just over 100, or sorry, 20,000, so 21,517 calls into the warm line. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything you're hearing in the community that we need to follow? Oh, and the Boardman Food Pantry event, thanks for those of you that came. I remember seeing you, Dave, and maybe you all were there. I don't know. I was exhausted, really. But it was a great event, and thanks for your support, and it was fun to be a part of that personally, and then the agency.
I heard they did pretty good.
Yeah, we did. I worked with, well, I called Matt one day and he gave me some names. That Amazon one was the one that was the most fortuitous because Amazon donated 100,000. So I called that guy and just a cold call. And then 2 weeks later, he called back and he said, we're gonna donate 100,000. So I called Good Shepherd, I called Bank of EO, I called Pioneer Memorial, I called UEC. It's good to have a local kid working there. And so the private donations that I worked on, I think that was about 190,000. And then there was about 70,000 raised at the event itself. So 250,000 is that their insurance, they should be able to do a building that will meet the needs of the community in that way for years to come. It was just great to see the community support like that. Yeah, any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, anything we need to do better? Should do better, could do better?
No, I appreciate you coming forward and giving us, you always give us a very in-depth report. And, you know, I appreciate like what Gus was saying earlier about, you know, you do pull back and expose, you know, everything, like with your employee, you don't
Exactly.
hide anything, so. Everything I hear, you know, you provide a great service throughout all region that you serve, so
Thank you.
we appreciate that.
I just have a comment. I really like the board reports. It kind of shows the inside workings of big things. And I mean, not just in Morrow County, but I was reading them from other places and stuff. So I thought that was pretty good.
Thank you.
This inside workings, and all the good stuff. So
I just was talking with Sydney about no surprises unless it's my birthday or something like that, right? And so I bring that philosophy here to you, you know. I don't think you should be surprised. I wouldn't want to be surprised if I were you. The contract's important to us. And I do want to quickly mention, I sent you the local implementation plan. I didn't print it off. I emailed it to you. I think I might have mentioned it at the advisory board meeting that the state put it out. I think at the last minute, we had a month to work on it. We did get advisory board feedback. So that's in your email boxes if you have any questions or concerns. We gather community input. But no, we really do It started in Morrow County, Morrow and Wheeler County. It was, when I first started here, it was Morrow County Behavioral Health, and we provided services in Morrow and Wheeler County. That was an agreement between the county commissioners, I don't know, sometime in the eighties when Wheeler County joined. So yeah, when I was first here, I was a Morrow County employee, and I like to say that, and the commissioners at the time said yes to us going nonprofit, and it's not a decision that I ever want the commissioners to regret. Well, thank you.
That's it, because you've shown, I think, in the way that you've replicated in other places, how to get a more efficient.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Kimberly? Thank you.
Hey, have a great day.
Okay.
You have Robin?
Just, if Jessie is available and she's online.
Okay.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi. Hi,
Okay, Jess.
everybody. I'm Jessie
Keep it.
Rose, lipstick
Oh.
coordinator. I apologize. Pardon? Oh, I thought somebody said something to me. Sorry. Sorry, I logged in a couple minutes late. I am not used to us going first. So,
Jesse, sorry, 1 second. We're having some audio issues.
oh,
Can you give us a test? Just say hello.
hello.
That's a lot better.
Okay. So I just wanted to apologize. I logged in a couple of minutes after 9. We are not usually first. So I'm here now, and it sounds like we're talking a lot about legislative impacts and funding. So I wanted to let you know we actually have some good news. CJC, the Criminal Justice Commission, is tasked with a lot of grant programs for the counties. And in the past, a lot of them have been kind of overlapping and difficult to tease apart. So they are trying to have a more streamlined approach to grants and have just one big grant where you apply for what you need. So I'm anxious to see what that's going to look like. We also learned that our impacts program, which not all counties get this. This is something that I applied for on behalf of Morrow and Umatilla counties. That grant is going to begin being funded regularly, just like the Justice Reinvestment Program. So in the past, we didn't always know if it would be funded because it had to be specifically funded. And now we know it's going to be an ongoing grant. So that's great news. I think that was around 600,000 for the biennium. And yeah, I think that's really all I have as far as CJC grants. The LIPSIC, as it was mentioned, has been discussing some prevention around DUI. And we've also regularly have to discuss all of our grants and the reporting for those grants. So that's what we've been up to.
Any questions? That's good.
No, glad to hear good news on grants. Don't get that a whole lot right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the report. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, next up will be the public health report. Bobby.
Good morning again. Robin Kennedy, Public Health Director. Just giving you quarterly updates. So you should have the same thing here in your packet. Just wanted to start with, it's been a quarter. We went through our triennial review process. So we had a lot of our state folks that head up our programs come out to Morrow County and kind of assess how we're doing. And we had a couple of findings that we've actually already taken care of. One, for instance, I'll give you an example. We had a outstanding immunization invoice that we were able to take care of and rectify really quickly. We are in the process of updating the cost analysis for providing immunizations in our program. And we can let you know how that turns out. But it was a pretty good process, and you can see on my communicable disease report, they actually gave us kudos that it was the first county that there was no findings in the CDC, not CDC, excuse me, communicable disease program. So that was good news. I just wanted to give you some highlights. There's some of the community outreach events that we've participated in, which has been quite a few, including this last weekend. I don't know if any of you were able to participate, but the OHSU sent the KCI Institute bus out here. They've been here a couple years ago, but they provided free eye exams, free glasses to underserved folks in our area. And it was actually initiated by the health district. So they reached out to us and we collaborated with them, and it was a fantastic event. 80 people were signed up to see the van between the 2 days. So it was really great. And we had folks from the north end of the county come down and participate and get their eye exams. So it was a really great event. We were there to support for translation services, and we were also there to provide flu shots. And I think we gave like 37 flu shots at that event. So it was really good. Yeah, it worked out good. Good collaboration. So I also just wanted to kind of highlight that the Ambulance Service Area Advisory Committee has been going well. We have another quarterly meeting at the end of this month, and things are going well. Where last meeting, we kind of formalized a reporting system so that the reporting looked uniform between the two entities, and that's going well. And when we talk about prevention, like I talked about with Kimberly just a little bit ago, it's mainly around preventing like alcohol, and we already do tobacco prevention, but we did participate, like I say, we're already kind of doing some of that work. So we did participate with the Rethink the Drink campaign that's going on. You've probably seen ads and stuff. We had some brochures of theirs at our table at the fair. So we're already kind of doing some of that prevention work. So. And then I also added in your report, this is new that I haven't added before, but that is the Umatilla County. They provide our environmental services and environmental health services in Morrow County. And they sent me a report from 2024. So I included that in your packet, just so you could kind of see what they're doing in Morrow County regarding environmental health and the numbers and what that contract with them is getting us. So I just thought you would be interested to see what they're actually doing for environmental health when they're doing restaurant inspections, pool and lodging and all of that. So did you guys all saw that breakdown, that report from them? Yeah. Did you have any questions about that report?
Not really. It's just I was surprised to see that there's 3 year-round pools in Morrow County.
Where are they?
I think it's the same center, but.
The athletic.
Green.
Yeah. Year round, yeah, because this one in Heppner's not year round.
It's the indoor one. The small one is.
Oh, right. That's true. I guess it's year round, yeah. Anyway, yeah, interesting. Okay, and then I just wanted to add also, Umatilla County, we've contracted with them to do home visiting services, and I didn't include that in my report, but Yvonne just let me know this morning that they're now serving 4 Morrow County clients for home visiting services. So they were only seeing 2, so that's an increase. So hopefully that program is getting more attention and more young families are participating in that program because it's really beneficial for young families. And I just wanted to highlight the ION clinic. They just gave a statewide report of all the school-based health centers, and there's 87 of them in Oregon. And we have one, the ION clinic is a school-based health center here in Morrow County. So we're happy to be a part of that and the good work that they're doing there. The immunization program. Kate, who's our communications specialist, she's been doing a lot of promotion for our vaccine events. We've had some after hours clinics. 2 of them. We had one in Boardman last week, and then we had one here. That the after hours clinic is from 5 to 7, so that people, when they get off work, can access without having to take time off work, can get their flu shot. And we had fairly good participation. 13 clients access between the 2, access the after hours, and we're having them again next week. So Monday in Boardman and here Wednesday on October the 8th. There will be an after hours clinic. So if anybody needs to get their flu shot, we'll be here. And I just kind of wanted to give a update on COVID vaccines. It's been, with the West Coast Health Alliance and all of the changes that have come about, it's been hard to keep up with what's going on. But currently, we are going to be getting, we don't have COVID vaccine, but we are going to be getting them mid-October. But I checked with Murray's and they have COVID. So if anybody in the county is wanting COVID vaccine, that's where they can go for the time being. So it's it's just been a lot to kind of keep track of, but we're trying to stay up to date. Otherwise, we have all of our other vaccines that we normally have. Nitrates. There's the most recent numbers as far as wells testing above 10. Households receiving water delivery. There's 318 households in Morrow County that get water delivery service in the La Guama region. And the number of filtration systems that we've installed, or that the state's installed. And I don't know if I reported this last quarter, I think I did, that Umatilla was going to be taking over the well testing. Yeah,
You did.
okay, yeah. So that is going well. They actually are doing comprehensive well testing, so I kind of put on there what that all includes, because it's not just testing for nitrates is what Umatilla County is doing, because they have an environmental health program. So I just kind of wanted to show what that comprehensive well test includes, just for your information. And the family planning services, Dr. Emily Jack is now our family planning provider. She's seeing clients on a quarterly basis for us. And so she had her first family planning clinic last quarter, and it went very smoothly, and she will be there again this Friday. So we're keeping her calendar full, and she's doing a good service for us. Let's see, there is the communicable disease report for the last quarter. Everything. There was the 10 cases of pertussis, which is new for us. That was there was an outbreak in Umatilla County that kind of filtered over into some Morrow County residents. So hopefully we have that under control. That again is vaccine preventable illness. We have the Tdap vaccine, the tetanus boosters that have pertussis protection in them. So, and people get those every 10 years is the recommendation in adulthood. So if you're not up to date on that, you might want to put up to see, that might be the end of my report. Oh, I just have some staffing updates. We did interview a candidate for the part-time translator position that we've had open for a while, and we're hopeful that she can get started hopefully in the next month or so, get her onboarded. And that's all I have for my report.
Sure.
Have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thanks for your support of public health.
Okay, next up is our fair office square report. And our new fair executive person, Lynn.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tylin Simiotti, and I am the new fair manager. I previously had volunteered for several years. I'm not sure how many. They kind of joked that once I started, they owned my soul. So now I took over. I tried to prepare my report the best that I could. I know that this year was the Fair and Rodeo was held in August, the 13th through the 17th, and it seems like it was very big this year. There was a lot of people. I feel like our numbers were not reflected in our gate count because they did not cover the gates the two busiest nights during the rodeo. So I tried to get numbers from the rodeo to kind of make up for that, but I was unable to. I was sick the last couple of days, so I'm a little bit behind. There was over 2,000 open class entry registrations online, and we paid out quite a bit in premiums. I thought I had that in here, but I don't see it. I kind of have a breakdown of the week. I don't necessarily want to go all the way through that. We did have some trouble at 4-H weigh-in with parking and traffic, and the sheriff's office had to kind of come help us alleviate some of that congestion and that was being caused. And we had a lot of entertainment, a lot of food trucks. This year we held a Queen's Welcome Dinner Wednesday where we tried to, I want to say, highlight our sponsors and have them there with the Queen. The growers dinner was the next evening. And Friday we had our showmanship shows for 4-H. I have a typo here. It says 107 animals were sold at this year's livestock auction. That is untrue. It was 170 animals were sold this year at the livestock auction. And that brought in over $1 million this year, which I think is the biggest yet. I don't think we've gotten close, but I don't think we've ever gone over. That is an auction buyers were at 956,597.75. Online add-ons, 125,462. Other add-ons were 34,184.71. And Amazon add-on money was 30,000. So they gave 30,000 that was split evenly between the 170 animals that were sold. We wrapped up Sunday with cleanup and a free breakfast. And that we received $36,850 from sponsors this year, and gate entry was free for everyone. I did forget to add that the new sheep shade structure was completed in seemingly record time. They did a really good job. It was dedicated to Mitch and Tag Ashbeck Thursday during animal confirmations. It was a nice addition to the fairgrounds for sure. I'm very thankful, and I'm sure a lot of people are, that it was done. We have been working to stay on top of RV sites, and we have a few people that are going to be staying there this winter. Usually we shut down, but we're working on winterizing to keep it open, because we have a traveling nurse staying there, and we have a family who's getting ready to remodel, and so they needed a place to stay. So we're working on winterizing, but we were suggested to rate increase of 5%, which comes to not very much. It's $1.74, I think, per day, and $34 per month if you're staying for the whole month, for new winter rates. We've had a few facility rentals, a couple of fundraiser dinners at the fairgrounds since fair, and equipment rental seems to be hopping. I think I've rented out tables and chairs once per week since I started, it seems. So that's
great.
right. Right. It's keeping me busy. On October 16th through the 19th is the Oregon Fairs Association convention that I plan to travel to. At this time, it seems that I'm the only one that's going this year. Nobody on the fair board is able to go, and Tony is not interested yet. He might change his mind, he said, but so far it's just myself going. Our next fair board meeting is next Tuesday in Boardman. It is not at the Sage Center. We've been moved to the Riverfront Center. It's easier for them because they have to staff the Sage Center if we go there after hours. So they do not have to staff the Riverfront. So we will be there instead. I have a high school intern in the office with me, Natalie Piper. That is something that Sue had started last year before. That's a process that starts at the end of the school year. And originally we did not have one because the student that was chosen chose a different job. And I'm still working part-time at the school. And so I was there, and
I just asked around, like, does anybody want to come out and help? So she's been helping me file things, write thank yous, mail stuff. She's been a lot of help. I just have her for like an hour a day, and that is something that the Port of Morrow, it's a program through the Port of Morrow, and they pay the interns a certain number of hours per week. I have an October event that I'm working on, Boot Scoot and Boogie, Spooky, my bad, a family event where I'm hoping it just, it's my first event, so hoping it comes together. I started discussions for an event at the fairgrounds for St. Patrick's Day. Madison said there was a meeting this month for starting that with that group. I've been acclimating myself to the office and trying to work on a lot of stuff that needs to be reorganized and possibly rewriting some contracts. And then I added at the bottom, I added that I would like to explore the option of adding more time for the fair manager position. I feel like there's a large workload, and I do know that that's something that is generally handled in the springtime, but I just thought I'd,
Put it out there.
yeah.
Thank you.
Keep it in mind.
Okay, any questions with that? I got one. As far as the Queen, did you get a good buzz from like the community and the people that support it all about doing it again, or how that?
I believe so, yes. I feel like there was a huge increase, and that also increased the parade. I think I kind of skipped over that. The parade entrance, like having the Queen, having more people, because a lot of people don't necessarily want to send their court to our parade if we don't have one. And so that increased that number as well. So having the Queen, I feel like it's a huge asset. It's a huge thing that I don't want to see go away. I want to see it continue to grow. Not necessarily with a court, probably just staying with a Queen for now. But I do think that it was a good thing. Like the kids like it. That's another thing with the St. Patrick's Day last year. Sue had the Pee Wee Rodeo, where it was also kind of a meet your Queen, like her first public appearance, and I'm hoping that's what happens again this year as well. I know that we're in discussions about who's going to be in charge of that next year, but I believe it's going to continue. I hope, right? I like it.
Any other questions? Go ahead. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Look forward to hearing from you.
Right. Have better numbers next time. Thanks.
Okay, next up is the public works report. Eric.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Roads, every September, we send crew members out to the annual Oregon Skills Demo and Safety Conference. You guys usually hear me report on that every year. It's a conference, an opportunity for road crew workers all over the state, counties, and some state agencies actually, where they kind of test their skills with equipment and also attend safety conferences. Our guys represented us really well again this year. We had Josh Henricks took second in the lower event. Justin Hoft and Luke Barnett took second and third in the greater event. And the overall scores, Morrow County took 18th, 16th, 11th, 9th. And Justin Hoft earned Top Gun again this year. I meant to bring the trophy, but I forgot it. I don't know how I missed it. It's like 4 feet tall. But I will get it up here, present it for a while. There were 60 contestants, so we really did a good job. During September, continued working on shoulders, mainly just Ray Creek. There's a lot of shoulder work that needs done there. between Liberty School and Rugs. We're preparing for additional maintenance and work up there. So the shoulders first is pretty important. And we'll keep working on that as time allows. We've also been, during September, got a lot of pothole patching done around the county, and I think we're done. I think we got one more corner we need to widen before it freezes. And also with some rain, we got the graders out. They've been out around the county, hitting county gravel roads. And as weather permits, we'll continue to hit those. All our newly paved chip seal roads, we got all the striping done. And we've also hit a bunch of roads with fading paint all over the county, north and south. Next year, we're really focusing up north. We're gonna hit a lot of stuff up north next year. The airport had a lot of landings. It seems like it really increased since the flying that we had in July. I think word's gotten out on very fair pricing on fuel and just really getting hit with a lot of landings. It's put a bit of a strain on our fuel tank. There's one vendor in Portland that supplies jet gas, and the other one's in Seattle. So it is a little bit difficult keeping that thing full. We're gonna look at maybe bringing next year, possibly replacing the tank that we have. It's an old tank. It's from the 80s. Maybe get a little bit more capacity. Moving forward to help mitigate the problem, we found that our intake pipe is off the bottom a little too far. We're gonna get that down and have a little bit more capacity there. But we've been seeing the courtesy car out a lot, so people are flying in and hitting our local businesses a lot more. Do you have anything on weeds significant? And solid waste, a lot going on in solid waste. We've been talking, and we'll be actually giving a presentation recommendations on pricing here in a little while as a business item. But the scales are done, they're calibrated. We've been testing them as I reported last month. Residents are becoming familiar with it and have adapted to it pretty good. So look forward to talking more about that here in a little bit. That's the end of my report. So you have any questions?
Just a comment, I've heard good reports about getting the scales, kind of takes the subjective part out of it sometimes. So I think the people are gonna like those scales.
Thank you.
Gives you the direct. And then they can plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Takes the
Not so
guesswork
good
out
as
of it.
that.
Oh, it was a little rough.
It was a rough week.
A little rough with the with the research that we have been doing there in Public Works. It's been interesting talking to other counties and those that have fee schedules with cubic yard pricing struggle. They're all struggling. It's difficult. So really thankful for the scales. Look forward to talking about that more.
I have one question in your written report under airport. You have, as pilots often say, a good excuse to fly out for the $100 hamburger. Where are you getting that in Morrow County?
I thought someone might ask about that.
I am going to ask about that.
It's a pilot reference of let's go, to Lexington, get some very well priced fuel and go down and have a hamburger. So they're calling it, they're spending $100 on fuel. So let's go have a $100 hamburger.
Okay.
It's very, very, anything to add to that, Rose?
Grandma used to say, I'm gonna go out for a drive. Well, then go out for a flight and hit that $100 hamburger. Clean fuel and.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. Do you have numbers on how many people are landing in Lexington just to go for a drive?
Why?
Oh, we have, it's interesting. We're kind of a hub. It seems like people flying from the north heading to Central Oregon often are landing here. We're seeing most of the time, Rose, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the majority of our landings are just for fuel. We do have some people staying over, coming and hunting, different things like that. Rose, do you have any numbers off the top of your head?
It's tripled since July. So usually it was like one you know, every week-ish or 3 a month, and now it's like 3 a week or more. Yeah, it's kind of hard to track, 'cause, you know, I don't know until they fill out, you know, a form to use the courtesy card, but it's great to see them, you know, doodling about the community and our facilities.
Okay, well, that is great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, commissioners.
Yeah. Next up is DA's report, Justin.
Yeah, just quick report. You already introduced Latasha Heppner, the new employee in the office. For a new position, she's doing well, helping the office. We're going back through cases to load them in, just for everyone's information. You know, when an officer arrests someone, or doesn't arrest, a lot of times the person might be cited and released. They can't go to the jail. Well, then those reports get written up, they get reviewed, and we might get them, you know, definitely later. When we get those, and we have to enter them in our system so that there's a data processing, putting them up before I can even review the case for criminal charges. So she's helping us get back on track with that, getting caught up. Right, and so that's once in our system, I can review it, we can get the charges going. We've had, you know, we had to delay some in some cases for the person's not arrested, and we consider like a triage system. That's our top priority. Is when I come in the morning, who's on the in custody list, work on those cases. If they're not arrested, then those get put in the back and we review those once we have time and once they're loaded in the system. So we're getting caught up on that. I have you know, we have a bucket in my office right now showing they're adding the cases when they're ready to be reviewed. So we're getting hopefully get caught up on those criminal cases slowly but surely. So that's been a good thing. I guess I'll give an update also. The circuit court, I would say, has been expanding their court dates. Maybe sheriff's office might not always like it, I can imagine, because they all of a sudden they're having more Wednesday court dates, Fridays out of the blue. And that's difficult for court security, where they have to set somebody. It's one thing to plan for, oh, we have every Thursday or circuit court day, easy to plan out. But when you have the justice court going on today, and circuit court, I know today actually has multiple civil cases, divorces, contract cases. They actually have Judge Meardy next door right now doing those cases. It's good for the community to have quicker access, not require just 1 day a week, but doing more days. I can also imagine that court security. So I think, you know, right now we have a detective working court security because it's your main court security person is probably in Erie working on stuff. So there's good and bad about it. It does affect the county, the sheriff's office, affects the DA office some. We might, you know, they'll schedule things for different days. Like I have a change of plea sentencing on Friday. Normally it might just be on Thursday. So good to get the cases done, but also shows the increase. The courtroom is being used. That's the key. It's being used in a greater amount. And I appreciate the court, you know, adding these different days. So that's been a good thing to see, but just show a increased amount of work. The other, I guess, thing is I'll mention, might be of interest to the commissioner and the public, is you had an issue with court appointed attorneys. Really for circuit court, hasn't been an issue yet for justice court. Remember, justice court, that is where the county pays for the public defender. The circuit court, the state contracts and the state pays for public defenders. Well, the public defenders or the state have imposed what they call kind of a quota for what they believe a defense attorney can handle. So they'll say, okay, you can only handle this many, they call them credits or points. And they'll say, well, this rape case takes 25 points. And so maybe after a few big cases, that defense attorney's tapped out for a month. And that was an issue that Umatilla and Morrow County had this last month. So I would say for the past week or two, our public defender, Blue Mountain Defenders, was not able to accept any cases for defense representation. Those had to get assigned to the state, and the state had to try to find somebody. Doesn't always happen. And actually, tomorrow we have cases where a person was arraigned, I think on Monday this week. We have appointed the state agency, but realized they weren't going to find somebody probably. So now we actually have them coming back tomorrow because it's beginning of the month, and now the defense attorneys are able to take a new, fresh amount of cases. It seems odd because that's not how prosecution works. Like, there's no quota for prosecution. You know, there's not like a quota saying a cap saying, oh, you can only handle this many prosecutions, and then every other case doesn't get charged. But defense counsel is able to have a quota and say, nope, we only take this amount of cases, even though we're in a contract, and be able to find somebody else that's on the state to find somebody. So that was been an issue for Umatilla and Morrow counties. We're at the beginning of a month. that's starting fresh, but I know I just took some cases through grand jury, some Measure 11, sex abuse cases, involving children. And I know if those people get picked up and arraigned, those are going to be, a lot of points. Like I can just imagine in my mind, I know how those are worth a lot of points to the defense attorney, and we might get tapped out again here coming up. So the issues you may have heard or seen from the Valley have been hitting this now just recently in the past month or two. Hopefully it's just a blip, but we never know for sure. I know that one of the public defenders that worked for our defense consortium, Blue Mountain Defenders, left, didn't want to, do public defense anymore. He has enough on the private practice side. So that let them down in person. So yeah, the same issues we talk about for deputy DAs trying to find employees, public defenders also have an issue too. So that's just something that might be of interest and a concern.
So could we sum that up as saying the limiting factor right now is public defenders, and that is causing issues with being able to schedule court dates? Is that?
Court dates, or even, court dates, or even leading to a person being released from jail. Because after a certain amount of time, they don't have a public defender. This has been a fight they've been having in the Multnomah, Washington, Clackamas counties. And the people will get released and then come back and try to find a court-appointed attorney for them. And this change with the defense has been a recent defense. There was a group that came out probably 5-6 years ago, more of a national-wide group saying, oh, it's not constitutionally fair. It's unconstitutional for a defendant to have an attorney who has too many cases. Like I know our public defenders were fine taking some different cases. Hey, they would get paid, per case amount. They're like, okay, I can handle more cases. I know my own work schedule. They're told by the state level, no, we believe you should be tapped out at this point. So we're gonna give you a flat amount and you'll get tapped out when you reach a certain amount of points every month. And so that was too bad because the system worked well before. But yeah, that's where the state changed it. And now that's also honestly why you're seeing more issues, I think, with public defense sometimes is the fact that when you put this cap in, now everyone's able to say, oh, we're just on the public defenders. Well, there kind of was before when you put a cap on something, it's now that you're not allowing them to do additional work on it. So it's affecting our criminal cases, some, where they're in custody. And my big concern is not getting to the point where defendants ever released because they don't have an attorney. We have a couple folks right now that I have tomorrow that are in custody that have, reasons why they need to stay in custody, and we're still waiting public defense. And luckily we can appoint an attorney tomorrow, so it shouldn't be an issue, but that's the concern.
What, now when you say they're released, are they released on bail or just?
No, they'll just be released, with the charge still pending,
Yeah.
but no bail required,
Well,
because
Is a public defender required when they plead plea? Or,
when they get court appointed, the court doesn't, this is a unique thing with the court process too. A lot of times, we could work a case out on smaller charges, but the court doesn't always give that opportunity. It's always like you're being arraigned on the charge, drunk driving. Justice court might be a little bit different, but many drunk driving cases, a person could be called as diversion eligible, where it's their first drunk driving charge. There's like an informal diversion process where if you complete classes, do this, then the case is dismissed, right? Most everybody does diversion. That's just what they do because, hey, the case gets dismissed if I do these things. Well, the court doesn't even go through that process. They don't tell them, hey, do you want a court-appointed attorney? Oh, if you can have one, but it's also diversions available for you too if you want to just do the diversion thing. They don't give those options or say, hey, here's another resolution option. The question from the court is, even beforehand, they'll get verified for court-appointed counsel while they're in the jail. And the only question the court asks, oh, you're buried on this charge. The potential sentence is up to 1 year in jail, which is true, but never gets imposed, and up to a $6,250 fine. And with that in mind, do you want court-appointed attorney? And the person's like, yeah, I'll take court-appointed attorney. Oh, we don't have one for you, so you'll come back here in a week, next week. If we don't have one by then we'll probably have to release you from the jail pending an appointment.
or also, if they're being interviewed by the sheriff or the police, they're allowed to have it.
Only they ask for one. They are given
If
their,
they ask for it, you say, we don't have one.
no, usually when they ask for an attorney, you don't ask them questions. Like we don't do a like The criminal process for
Okay,
investigation
just
isn't,
stops.
yeah, that's basically when the person says it, it just stops at that point. That's all I have. Any questions?
You have any questions, John? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next up is our county administrator report from Matt.
Yes, provided a written report. I'd just like to highlight a few of the items from September 15th to September 26th. Our courthouse project is now at 50% design drawing stage. We've reviewed in meetings, the design teams reviewed some final aspects with all the impacted departments. I know even within the circuit court, we have judges going, hey, when's that court going to be built? We're on track. We anticipate the design drawing stage to be wrapped up by the end of October. Estimating and everything, we are still shooting for an end of February, March timeframe for groundbreaking. And so that is ongoing. We're anticipating that. We have been discussing and finalizing some of the last minute land and access items that we have to work out with the neighbors. That seems to be going well. We should be bringing some finalized agreements to the VOC hopefully in the very near future, just to get that finalized. That also includes working with the city on the Aikens Street improvements that need to be taken care of. We've had some, we are still getting ready for the final feasibility study at community outreach for West Glen on October 15th. And we'll be sharing the format with this board informally through emails over the next week. And we may have a panel activity that Chair Sykes has volunteered to participate in on that. So we'll be getting information available for that. I've also started working up in Boardman at the Public Health Department's office on Thursday mornings. I didn't have anybody come in, but we are advertising that, and it went out to all the people who signed up for email notifications on that. We've also prepared a press release that's going out in today's Heppner Gazette about the fair and rodeo dates for 2026. Because this in 2026, that will be the impactful year for construction with the circuit court. The rodeo came to us and said we'd like to separate dates from the fair. And so in 2026, the fair will be on that third week of August as normal, but the rodeo will be the next weekend. This is largely made available because Labor Day is actually a full week into September, so we aren't interrupting anybody's holiday weekend with that. School will have started before the rodeo goes. There's no football game at the field, so we can still use that. And the rodeo board has coordinated with the school district about that, and making sure we have access and use that. So just want to let you know that was something the rodeo board offered to us as just to make sure their needs are met and construction impacts are limited. So we appreciate their offers to do that. And hopefully we can still have two very successful events in 2027. We anticipate those coming back together again though. Other items, we've had a couple complaints and requests on code compliance, including some public records requests on some issues. I've been working with planning on that, and we are still undergoing negotiations with the Sergeant Association, which was formed. Had a meeting yesterday and do not have a follow-up meeting set, but we are looking to get that scheduled as we reach out to them. We do have a couple items. There is a AOC District 3 meeting this Friday that I'll be attending in the Dalles. If any of you go or want a carpool, just let me know. There's looking forward to some of the legislative updates on that with the special session and the short session. And again, we have Clean Water Consortium on the 14th and the West Glen Community Outreach meeting on the 15th. So any questions or projects you would like to have updates on? I'm open to any inquiries.
Are we gonna do another walk around in the West Glen community before we have that October 15th meeting?
They are planning on that. I do not have the specific dates on that. I'll let you know since you participated last week.
Okay, appreciate that. And
Okay.
thank you, Matt. It's a lot.
This is Matt?
No.
Don't either. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's get to the consent agenda. Is there anything you guys want to pull out of that? Separate?
I'm good with it as it is.
So I guess, let's pull out item H.
My motion to approve the consent agenda without H.
I move to approve the consent agenda, removing item H.
Second.
We move in second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So on that, I guess, because there were options, if I remember right, for us to discuss. If we were just fine with what is there and we move forward with that, then I'd be fine with approving it, but I just thought that we might want to discuss if everybody was fine with what was proposed, or did somebody want to make any changes to it? That's why I told that.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think it's fine.
Okay, like I say, I'm basically just checking in to make sure. Chris, you're fine. So it sounds like you find it.
I'm fine.
I'll make the motion to we approve item H, consideration of the mission message for the strategic plan document.
I second.
Move in second. All further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll go on to our business items and we'll start, and then we made a change to the order here. We're gonna do A and then we're gonna do F. So first we'll start off with the transfer station. Medians and Dish, and that's very.
Good evening again, commissioners.
Good morning again.
Before we start, I want to clarify. On the pilot's landing, there was just, we weren't quite in sync on what we were communicating. In September, we had over 100 landings just for fuel, just in September, which is emptying our tanks. It's like, makes a little more sense. Last spring, we were averaging 30. So just wanted to clarify that. I think we were talking more about the use of the courtesy car. Okay, so we are here to discuss and recommend fees for the new scales that we have. We do have some picture slides that we can all look at. I bring Roy Roulette, he's our Deputy Public Works Director, is here. And Rose, Administrative Manager, also she manages the transfer stations and the airport. And we all worked together on this data, as well as Kirsty Kaysen. She's holding the fort down in Lexington at Public Works Building. So as you know, this has been a lot of work in progress. As I have reported, the scales at the north is on the right, the south is on the left, are ready for operation, and spent the last few months compiling data. We learned a lot of good information, and had a lot of discussion with other counties and other municipalities about what they do and how they do it. So we'll share the data. We also had help with Kevin checking in on making sure some of our numbers were correct. So he may chime in during this presentation. Maybe
You got it, Eric.
Thank you. So, I did get a new laser pointer. If you can follow my laser.
Which one?
Yeah.
Looks like my Christmas light.
Yeah. Boy, they've come a long way there. So yes, Matt, next slide, please. Okay. So this slide just kind of breaks down our operating costs and and our fee revenue. So we compiled data. The North transfer we were only able to collect data for the last 3 years because of changes in their management there. South transfer the last 5. And so we're just working off of the data for 23, 24, 25. And you see totals there of tons that we've transport from our transfer stations to Finley Buttes annually. You see some increases there. The bottom portion is our operating costs, materials and services and personnel. And then below that, our operating costs per ton. The last 3 years, you see quite a significant increase, which has to do with trucking costs mainly have gone up. All operating costs have gone up. We've increased some pay for our transport station attendants over the last couple of years. And just generally speaking, everything's more expensive. So we, our fee revenue per ton, which is the users that go in and dump, that's their averages over the last 3 years. And the balance of our operating costs are funded by the Finley Buttes licensing fees. So on average, for the last 2 years, the users are contributing about 20% of the costs, operating costs. And feel free to any questions as we move along.
So the other 80% covered by Finley Buttes
Licensing fees. Okay. Thank you. Rose.
So what we put together is this is taking 5 weeks of the testing that we did at the transfer stations. And we seeing that we brought in on average per user 0.22 per tons, which would equate to the average user spending about $13.75 each time they visited. What we're proposing, which would be $90 a ton, would bump it up to $19.76 per user. Which would, the difference down below would be about $6 on average.
Next slide, Matt.
And then this slide broadens the spectrum of how we accumulated all the data. We really looked across Oregon and we tried to get kind of what everybody else was doing and a good visual to where we are sitting at the proposed $90 a ton. And we wanted to look, on the broad side of Oregon, what everyone else is doing, but also keep in mind the needs of our community and what our needs as Morrow County would be. And that's where we came up with the $90 a ton.
We didn't get as much response as we hoped. So we did add in Metro Portland. They're large, huge, so it's not necessarily the best comparison, but we found that Columbia County, which is small, a smaller county, but very close to Portland, looks like they're kind of following the fees that Portland uses in their transfer stations. They're transferring their garbage, if you don't know, to Arlington. The other significance is that the landfills, there is no transportation costs. The users are dumping right in the landfill. So they typically are cheaper. However, Klamath is a little bit high. You see Jackson County landfills $81 a ton. I tried to contact Clackamas transfer station. They have this is not Metro South. This is Clackamas transfer station in Sandy, Oregon. It's very, very small, similar to ours. Why are they $75 a ton? How are they operating? I didn't get a response. So not sure on that. Matt, next slide, please.
And so this slide kind of is a visual and a graph of where we were and where we want to go. So in 2021, the adopted fee schedule was the $8.85 per cubic yard. And if we took that $8.85 and applied CPI to it, this is what this graph would show. So, and where we would be at today, so it'd be around 1048. And we're proposing $11 minimum, which is pretty on par with Oregon's average. We're a little bit below, but we wanted to, again, keep Morrow County in mind with our minimum.
Next slide, please. This is what we're currently doing right now. It's very, very difficult to see, but what we're looking at is the top section is our free household items, which include a lot more than I actually realized. But you know, appliances, you know, we take for free, mattresses, and other household items, which, as has been discussed here during our public works reports, why that happened, the history, and basically keeping our ditches clean, and where the road department's not having to respond and clean that up, is a really good benefit. The bottom section is just showing what we are charging per cubic yard. Matt? Oh,
Yeah, listen.
yes.
Now, I remember when stuff was getting dumped up slaughterhouse all the time. Is there a way that you let the public know that these are free? Is that, because if they don't know, then, you know.
We have them listed at maybe not to this detail, but we have it listed on a big sign at the transfer stations. And is it on our website?
It's on our website, and I've been working closely with Kirsty to really get the education out to the community, so people are hopefully less likely to illegal dump and know that we are offering these services to the community, because if you don't know, you can't utilize it. So we're trying to get the education out there with advertising in the paper and on our website.
I saw it posted on Facebook recently. Maybe I didn't, but I thought I did.
It'll be there.
Okay, good.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Big Mike Gorman has a comment here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you?
Not related to this.
I believe yes.
So
Yeah, Mike, did you want to make a comment?
Or maybe he wants us to read it.
Maybe he just wants to use his chat.
Yeah.
Did you put up what his chat was?
Maybe. Historically, the county has subsidized the transfer station fees with tippage fees with the intent to keep fees low and encourage people to use the transfer station instead of dumping garbage on private rural property, which has been very successful. Gillum County offers free garbage to their residents.
So to clarify, Gillum County, their curbside is not free. That's run by a franchise. I made that call this morning, so to make sure I knew. So the curbside is not free. Morrow County residents can go to the dumps site on Cedar Springs Road and dump for free, which is fantastic. But I just wanted to clarify, it's not all garbage, it's not curbside. Okay, Matt, would you please go back to slide 2?
Slide 2?
Yes, I just wanted to look again. Yeah, right there. So the operating costs, the users this last year, 61.59 a ton. So what's being, you could say subsidized if that's the right, $283.68 per ton is what. Okay. Thank you, Matt.
So what goes into materials and services? Just, I see that it was a big jump.
Yes, I initially on that slide, I listed everything and I simplified it back down. So I don't have it in front of me, but materials and services, it is everything operational, the trucking that we pay to get the stuff moved is in there. Anything that we need, any repairs, and help me out, I'm stalling out. But yeah, everything materials and services.
yeah,
Wages of personnel.
wages, personnel.
Wages for personnel, not materials and services.
Yeah.
So off the top of your head, you have an idea what caused it to basically more than double from 2023? I mean,
The increases, when I was doing when we were all doing the research was trucking costs going up significantly and the rate increases that we approved, which was, oh my goodness, what was the CPI on that next slide? Went up. Could you advance to the next slide? 8.5. Yeah, it was, there we go. At 2000 in the 22.
From 23 to 24, the CPI.
Yeah,
Yeah, just.
it took, I'm not exactly sure why it doubled. I did when I was doing the research. I can't think of it right now. But the cost went way up. Costs went way up.
Mostly hauling.
It is mostly hauling. Yeah, especially on the north end. We're paying a lot for hauling on the north end.
So in 2020, we had 400 tons moved. Excuse me, that's just the south. We can only go to 2023, but from 700 tons to 944 tons, we're averaging 9.25 tons per haul. That's, that's light, you can haul that as pickup. So we got this bin, and people aren't dumping bricks, they're dumping, insulation. It's just so, there's just not many tons hauled per bin. That's extremely expensive. And we've talked in the our monthly reports about making changes in the future. A lot of this data that we found is going to help us recommend further changes a lot because of that 2.25 tons per haul.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this on the tires really, we're really comparable with other counties. We're recommending the same, but these are pictures of the processing that does happen at Finley Buttes, where they're piling them up, feeding them into a shredder, and then going into the cells, the dump cells.
Now, does this cost at the transfer station or at Finley Buttes?
These are the fees for the users at the transfer station.
What if I had a load of tires and I took them to Finley Buttes?
They would be right on par. So Finley Buttes as well as the transfer station charge per tire, and it does determine the size of the tire that they'll take as well. And they prefer it off rim. I don't know specifically if they'll take it even if it has a rim. Or they may tell you to take it back and get the rims off. But most sites are all off rim, and they do charge per size as well. And I believe it's a little higher than us. It's a little over $9, and it's expected to increase as well at Finley Butte.
Next slide, please. There's a little bit more information about our free items in comparison to what the other counties and municipalities are doing. Many of the Oregon counties fee ranges anywhere from $5 to $30 per item, and there's at the bottom some other examples of furniture. Of course, we're all zero. The other counties are 12 to 17. Also, I found interesting the refrigerators with Freon. That some of them were pretty expensive to get rid of. We're not doing that. We believe it's a good benefit to the county and the residents. That picture on the right is not Morrow County.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Next slide, please.
No, before you, just real quick, you mentioned some things that you don't take, it's free.
Oh, no, we take.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we take it all. It's just, it was interesting to see the fees for refrigerators that still had Freon in them, and other counties and other municipalities charge quite a bit more because they have to deal with that.
What else will we take is asbestos?
Yeah, we do not take any hazardous.
Just the common.
Yeah, the common things,
Asbestos, so take that down to waste management.
Arlington, yeah.
Arlington.
Yep. And they burrito it, they say. Package it.
Through all the data research, this is what we're recommending. It does not have to be decided on today. This is informational so that it can be considered.
recommending that the things that are free still are free, and a minimum load of $11, minimum cost, minimum $11. We have this uncovered load that's not new, and recommending price per ton at $90, which would not be much of an increase to the user. And again, with the scales, we can be consistent, and it's really just going to help with communication and expectation of what they're going to pay coming into the dump sites, the transfer stations.
Now, I mean, just, because it is a truckload charge, the guy looks at it and goes, okay, and the next time I deal with it, it's is the person gonna notice an increase? I mean, because a truckload can weigh anywhere up and down,
Yeah.
So, there's no way for you to, that's probably an unfair question, because there's no way.
Well, I think that slide 2, Matt, if you don't mind going back, that's what we tried to capture there. Next one, advance. We took averages, and Rory worked really hard to get those up and going so we could get this data, which was fantastic. And so after 5 weeks, now we're 6 weeks, maybe 7 even, tried to get some averages. If the attendants were charging correctly, which has been very difficult, we know that. No, we've heard reports on that. A typical load would have been $13.75 and now $19.76.
Somebody who dumps all the time is gonna probably recognize it.
Yeah. Yes.
Just somebody that takes a trailer load down there, and then next time takes a trailer load. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I realize that's kind of an unfair question.
But as someone who has taken stuff to the dump before and been like, I don't think I was charged the amount that I probably should have been. I think most people will recognize I'm using a scale now that seems a lot more fair.
Yeah.
I have also had experiences where I feel like this doesn't seem like enough, and the others like, whoa, I think I'll come back next weekend. So,
No, I think once people get familiar with
yes.
it, I think it's gonna be, initially there might be some squawking.
Mhm.
But I think initially, or in the long run, when it gets consistent, I think this is much better. Absolutely.
Yes.
Scale's very objective.
Yes.
Before it's been subjective.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with the scale.
That's right.
I argue with inanimate objects all the time, Jim.
So, you got more questions?
No.
Okay, so what's your pleasure? You wanna think that, he said, an option to think about it some more, talk about it, or you wanna go ahead? And a suggested motion is to approve the transfer station use fees as presented. Or, like Eric said, think about it.
I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
The motion.
I move that we approve the transfer station user fees as presented.
Second.
I moved and seconded for the discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
I think it's gonna be good.
They put.
Oh, Eric, stay, Eric.
No, we got one more. You got moved up. You're F.
Three.
And authorizing use of county funds for free removal on one day. Per ORS 368-0392C.
Right, just some background. So Miller Road up near Boardman. There's a section there that road department does not maintain. However, back in the early 1900s, the trees were planted in that section along the county right of way, and now have become very large. And the property owner adjacent purchased last year was very, very concerned about it and came to Public Works for some help, means it's on county property. Due to the ORS, I'm not able to spend road dollars on a road that is not maintained by the county or is a public access and some others. So brought it to the Board of Commissioners a few months ago to advise, and I think it was decided it would come back as resolution.
And that's correct. It's a requirement type of thing, since a specific resolution for the expenditure of these funds for this job. since it is local access road. This is done throughout other counties in the state also, so since the resolution did that, so based on the prior board's determination, this is not a opening up for all local access roads or anything else. It's very specific to this and this action here, so that's all I have to add. That's also the reason why I had to come back before the board, the resolution.
Any questions of Justin on this? Or anything else you want to add?
Oh, sure. It's been a few months. I did want to add that additional information since we talked last. I did go down and meet with the property owner and looked. I believe I reported that we had agreed by handshake that the county would fall the trees and that the landowner would do the cleanup. Since then, going down and actually meeting with him, these trees are big. I can't envision him actually being able to burn them on his property. So what I wanted to report is that I would prefer that we contract to fall the trees if you see fit to agree to that. And then we would cut the logs in 20-foot lengths, anything that he can't handle, and we would take them and put them in a pit somewhere, burn them later when they dry, and he would handle all the cleanup of the limbs and the small stuff he can burn. That's the difference what I reported from what I reported last time.
So with that, how does that impact the potential expenditure of $7,500?
We need to get a new quote. It's been quite a while ago. Rory's will be working on that. I think it would be fair to say it would probably be something close. And then we would have road dollars to buck them up and haul them off, which would take all day. So, we'd have 5 or 6 people out there, an excavator, a couple dump trucks.
So that would be in-house, not additional
Correct.
contracted services, so.
Correct. I think the initial bid, Rory, correct me if I'm wrong, was about $7,500 to fall the trees. And it'd be twice as much if they were gonna do the cleanup, which is why we recommended to help with that.
No, I lost my cover sheet here, but the resolution doesn't say anything about the cost, does it, Justin?
No, it does not. Nope, doesn't set us an
So we
amount.
could- If we want to approve this.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and just adopt it and then they can make the adjustment on cost.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it doesn't affect that.
Right, and we do, there's budget dollars to do this.
Okay, sorry, Kevin, I thought you said something. Sorry, maybe you did. Kevin's like, why are you looking at me? Sorry. I'm just used to hearing something like, oh, I messed up. I'm sorry.
I move to approve resolution R-2025-12 in the matter of authorizing the county road official to perform road maintenance on Miller Road, a local access road in Morrow County. Second.
Moved and seconded for the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Justin. Okay, next up would be the budget adjustment.
Eric, you're.
I'm gonna call it 5 minutes.
Okay, recess.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I'll call the meeting back to order and next up will be budget adjustment. Special workstation, that's understood, Ryan.
Morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Try to make this quick. We went through, as noted, just, I guess, a little reminder or background. We went through the budget process and procurement process and got an amount approved to upgrade or update our 4 dispatch workstations. Once we went out and got our bids, and we found that we were the estimated funds that we thought we were gonna need was came in short. And so we are requesting that we make I guess it's called a resolution. Am I saying that right? I say it wrong, but we're asking for a budget adjustment out of the dispatch emergency fund to cover the additional costs of the project. I always say the wrong word. See?
So it's just a transfer of appropriations from contingency to capital outlay. It's below 15% threshold, so there's no public hearing or full supplemental budget process required. It can be done via the resolution that I drafted for you.
You were up here in the beginning, so I didn't look like an idiot.
I've given you your time to shine, right?
You said almost the exact same thing.
Not even close, not even close. So, yeah, anyways, what he said, and then we cover the project, we did, we already completed the procurement process, we picked our vendor, which is Day Wireless. So we're asking for that approval to make that budget adjustment, and then, the approval so we can award the project to Day Wireless, and so we can get that going.
Question, just, it doesn't. Just out of curiosity, because when you said contingency funds for the department of the office, it's usually a percentage of the total budget. That's what you do.
Yeah, so contingency, generally speaking, is set, and it's only an operating fund, so funds that will pay payroll expenses out of, for example. And it'll typically be set around 15% of total appropriations, which is also the limit that we can transfer in total throughout the year, without having to do a public notice and public hearing, supplemental budget process.
Yes. So, since any questions of either Kevin or Brian on this topic?
I do not have any questions.
Okay. Then we,
I move to approve and adopt resolution R-2025-11 adjusting appropriations in Fund 207 emergency dispatch.
My second.
been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Then move to approve procurement of goods and services as presented and recommended and authorize the county administrator to sign and accept the proposal.
My second.
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Matt needs to sign that.
Yeah. Next up, we have seeking affiliation of the process applications, force funding requirements, map.
So, this was the issue from previous, BOC where it was unable to be discussed. This topic is more or less to give an update to the Board of Commissioners based on grant compliance and some issues that we've seen over the past 3 years. With Kevin as the finance director, he's worked very diligently to bring the county into compliance with grants and the checklist on those items. We've during his first year, he had to bring before the Board of Commission at the time several policies. These hit as well during the first part of Commissioner Winholtz and Sykes' tenure as well. In getting policies adopted to make sure that we're taking care of things, we're running into some issues with grants. And unlike the procurement policy, which has a stick to follow up with non-compliance in that, our grant process is a little loose. And we're running into, if there is non-compliance with grants, monies can come in, reporting aren't done, and requests for reimbursements aren't processed in a timely manner, that it creates audit exceptions. If reimbursements aren't done during the year and finance isn't even aware of the timing of these things, this creates issues in finance reporting that can actually lead to us getting blacklisted, or the worst thing for the county is being blacklisted by federal and state groups and not being eligible for grants. Right up there is not being able to receive the funds that we operate grant programs with the assumption that we would have reimbursements or expenditures based on. And so what we're looking at, the grant process outlines what it is. This is not just with appointed officials. We have some elected officials that we have, and generally I would say it's non-intentional. But even with good intentions, if it doesn't get done, it creates issues. And so this is really, we're bringing this up to the Board of Commissioners as and the public to say, we need to take a few steps to look at this process, look at some options on what we need to do, and to make sure that our grant policy is not only sufficient for compliance, but will help us, relegate and make sure that we take care of the compliance issues so we don't cause issues for the county and the funding sources we're relying on. So it's like a bit of a convoluted, just open discussion with the BOC right now. Administration and finance will be reviewing that. Some of the options might be an order on specific processes, a revamping of the process, or even putting some stick into it, saying if this is not done, then there might be a limitation on grant applications in the future unless there's some assurances things are being taken care of. We had 2 instances with this recent audit that caused a lot of stress, and we need to look at it. And I just wanted to bring that before the Board of Commissions. Kevin's here, and we just wanted to, if you have any questions on that, but we will be looking at that. One of the things we want to do, though, is as we look at this policy before we bring it back to the commission, is to vet that with both appointed and elected officials, department heads, so that they're aware of it and they can provide feedback, pain points along the way if they're from past experiences, and so we can develop something that's a little bit more robust and improves compliance. And so I just wanted to put that on the record, let you know that we'll be working on that, and allow you to ask any questions or address any concerns before we get too far down that pike on that.
I guess my only question is, well, no, maybe we'll keep it that way, but sometimes presently, department heads and electeds can write a grant application. Correct or not? Yes, no?
So with those, they can, they should come before.
Well, no, let me rephrase that. Do they?
Yes.
Okay. Can they do that? Okay, so
And
explain the process to them.
So-
Right now.
The process that exists or the process that's in the policy the board adopted a few years ago are different.
This one here, 2023.
Yeah, you put that policy on that, yeah. And when I drafted that policy back then, I was a little bit softer in the language than I probably should have been, and left some discretion. But long story short, departments apply for grants. We have to account for those. We have a number of, especially federal dollars, internal control processes that have to occur. I have a 3-page list of questions from our auditors on every single federal award that they look at. I'm just pulling it up here. It took me about 1,500 words for each one of them to describe how we monitor, control, and comply with federal grant requirements. And it's getting very close to saying that we just don't, and we need this. It needs to be tightened up. And it's not just with grant compliance. I sent and I'm going to be just a lot more probably blunt than Matt was, but we sent a memo out, a couple months before the end of the fiscal year requesting that we get copies of all the fourth quarter reimbursements, not only to review them to make sure that they actually reflect what's in our general ledger and our accounting records, but to also accrue accounts receivable and revenues into the correct fiscal year, which is a big undertaking. 0 responses from elected officials, department heads, anybody. Which there's probably around $1 million of revenue that we had to accrue. And so, you know, what that ends up being is typically me or Tammy prior to her leaving, combing through every single transaction that's posted, going and asking the questions, pulling out the supporting documentation. And it's just not manageable to an unreasonable degree at this point. Grants that we're not aware of, that you know, get applied for, and we don't put together the necessary components in our project accounting system to actually track revenues and expenditures related to those until after the fact, until after money's been spent. And then we have to go back and recreate, you know, reporting. Reporting that gets submitted that doesn't match our accounting records. Yeah, that's another common issue that we've just continued to run into. So I'm pretty hesitant to say we need to, you know, take on more work in the accounting department, but yeah, what we're doing right now is not working from an accounting perspective and a compliance perspective.
Do you think that having potentially one grant writer for the county and everything goes through one person would help with that, or is it just strictly stuff on the back end? Because I was just wondering if we could have this all done through one person, then maybe it would make it so that it's easier. This is where all the information goes through, and that person gets it to finance. So does that sound like a?
Yes, yeah, that's kind of, you know, Matt and I had talked about this, and we wanted to, you know, have discussion with everybody involved, and maybe what we think of when we're talking about isn't going to be the best solution. You know, we want to get input from other folks, but yeah, centralizing and pushing, you know, grant applications and stuff through a single person, that could end up being a lot during, you know, every 2 years. When all the biennial state grants renew. But yeah, it's there's a lot to it, and it gets you know, the applications when federal dollars are involved, for example. There's risk certifications that are supposed to be completed and filled out by a financial officer. There's only, you know, one of those at the county, but we've, you know, seen a number of different signatures on those, and not intentional misrepresentations, but you know, risk assessments that get completed that are accurate, and all of that stuff. It doesn't matter for 3 years until the federal agency comes looking, or the state agency comes and does their subrecipient monitoring, and then it's an issue, and we've seen that. You know, actually come to fruition in the past. So,
Mike,
And Mike has his hand raised.
who does?
Mike.
Oh, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, is this gonna be just specific to federal and some state grants? You know, cause you know, I have,
Hold on a second, Mike.
okay.
You need to get some more volume here. You're good. Okay, try again.
Okay, is this new policy gonna be specifically for like federal and maybe some state grants? Or just blanket all grants? Cause I have my CAFA grant that's annual that has absolutely no reporting. Basically the reporting is part of the application, and once it gets approved, then we receive the grant funds quarterly, and there's nothing else I have to do. And another grant from the state that my department has utilized over the years is an ORMAP grant, most recently last year for our new wide format printer. And it's very similar. There's no reporting. You apply for the grant and they approve it. You do the expenditure, get an reimbursement. And it's fairly simple. So I don't want to create this great big hairy convoluted grant policy that's blanket for all grants when it's not necessary.
Well, so, and Mike, those are very basic, simple grants, absolutely, that you referenced. What we're seeing is money that's passed through state agencies. Well, so to back up and answer the question, yeah, we need a single process that applies to all grants. Money that's passed through state agencies that may be federal, or it may be a combination of federal and state. What we can continue to see is the people that are administering those grants for the counties and running those programs may not even have an awareness that there's federal dollars involved, and we don't even know about it until we start looking at contracts that we may or may not get ahead of time during audit time. So yeah, there needs to be a touch, at least a central point of oversight to make sure that, hey, you know, this is a simple grant, not a whole lot we have to do, no reporting requirements, it's all state funds or local funds, or you know, from another entity. But there needs to be that touch point at the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
Now, does the procurement officer play any part now?
Only in regards to procuring goods with grant funds, and that role only changes if we're doing extremely large procurements with federal dollars, which I think we've got one, and then we opted to outsource that because that gets pretty complex. So
Okay, and then I got another question. Is I read the 2024 that short audit on our federal grants. That was pretty clean report. Wasn't it? They didn't. The auditors didn't find us out of compliance much, so did they? I mean, look.
So on the single audit, they test one major program. It's rarely going to be our major programs that are out of compliance, and I don't want to suggest that all of our programs are out of compliance, or that the auditors aren't effective in their review, because that's not the case. But for example, I think the major program that was selected for fiscal year 24 that you're referring to may have been an FAA grant. And the record keeping and compliance is probably primarily managed by an outsourced engineering firm for that. Very little that we had to do in-house. For fiscal 25, we just got completed with our field work last week with our auditors. The major programs that were looked at were the state and local fiscal recovery funds for the ARPA, under the ARPA program, and the EPA grant. And for those two, I personally do all of the administration and accounting and reporting for those. Not that, I mean, that's just kind of what I do. So there's a better chance that it's accurate. So it's not representative of all of the federal grants. We have some that are under $5,000, but they still have the same level of compliance.
Understood. Okay. I guess my only last comment would be, I think this is important because I think these grants are very important in Morrow County. I have talked to people from other counties at AOC who sometimes will say, we don't even mess with that because it's too much hassle. But so the only thing I think we need to look out for is make sure the process runs smoothly and that the electeds and the staff know what they're, under the new policy, what their requirements are going to be. And then make sure it gets moved through the approval system in time to get them. That's my only thing. But I mean,
and that was kind of our hope on doing this. I mean, this has a very huge impact on the county. We had a couple items that came up in this last, as we were closing out this last year, where, you know, funds weren't reported correctly. It was expenditures were underreported because finance didn't have a final chance to look at the grant reporting. The year was closed. We're out of that. Some of that's coming out of our limited general funds. We had another one where expense reimbursement wasn't filed. year closes, we're out of that money. And so those are just little things where we're stubbing our toes, but it can lead to bigger issues if we do it. So the one thing, the goal for this is, it is a big issue. We want to go in this very methodical. We want to engage with the elected and appointed department heads in order to say where those pain points are. But then create something so that we can make sure it addresses the needs, and there's a consistency as we approach grants, because that is, I mean, we've seen some success with these grants. We want to see continue that, but there is an additional load on that, and a specter punishment if we do it wrong. I'd hate to have a small $25,000 grant suddenly jeopardize some major initiatives that we're looking at.
Well, just to clarify, so I understood something you just said, so because something wasn't recorded right, we were expecting to receive grant dollars to pay for this. And that's what was budgeted to pay for it, but we ended up having to pay for it out of general funds.
We're still working on that issue, or has it been resolved?
We're talking about the one with the transit.
Yeah.
So there, and I don't recall the exact amounts, but in excess of $40,000. That was supposed to have been paid for through a reimbursement grant that expired. It did not get, the expenditures didn't get submitted and reported under that grant. So we didn't use general fund dollars, to clarify. So, but we have to use some dollars because
we were
almost all of the expenditures are grant covered expenditures.
We were expecting someone else to pay for it. We had to pay for it.
Yeah, and so then we had to go back and, well, we had to pay for it with this STIF formula fund dollars. And we'll have to talk with ODOT about reopening prior periods to adjust all the reporting for that. And so that's, $40,000+ that we don't get. And to be clear, that was, I believe, from during our interim time when we didn't have a transit managers. Yeah, it's that situation has improved significantly, but again, that's the importance of having finance review of those reports before they actually get submitted for reimbursement.
And so I anticipate that we would be doing a review of the policy, engaging with the departments, revamping the policy to bring with you, and then make this commitment, but with our current staffing, hopefully we'll get that fixed. But then looking through, and Kevin's done some great training on videos for budgeting and that, creating something so we can have any department leads that are dealing with the grants, having access, making sure they're completely vetted on that. And, letting them know what the consequences are if we don't do these things. If we do have these issues come up, it's like, okay, we're gonna have to evaluate if we continue to pursue these grants, which will impact your department. And so we've got to make sure that's loud and clear.
Just to go back one more time, are you planning on giving training to staff and electeds on how to better present these to finance, or is that part of it, or
so
is it just keep doing it the way you've been doing it and dump it on? Because aren't they the ones that they're the ones that see the grants and find the grants, right? I mean, yeah, okay. So are they going to have training on how to better prepare those? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, and it's not
your workload.
It's not so much the applications. Folks do a pretty fine job at applying for grants. We get a lot of grant money coming into the county, so kudos to everybody for that. It really is when people prepare financial reports. What we're seeing is a lot of times it's prepared off of maybe a stack of receipts that's on their desk, or a tally or spreadsheet that they're keeping, and that may or may not match what our financial records are. And at the end of the day, the agencies that oversee the compliance for those grants, they don't care what's on your desk, they care what's in our actual accounting records. And that's where from a reporting perspective where we're seeing a bit of a disconnect still.
Okay.
And this does have to come from internal. I mean, the federal grants and that, they're very particular, but I've noticed that with the state grants, a couple of them, they're like, oh, we don't care who signs for it. Well, we do, and you have to. It has to go through the proper process, or we have these wild stallions running out, and it creates issues when suddenly we're coming back and throwing finance saying, hey, we need these reports because we did this, and we don't know what these funds are for. And so, notifications are going to the wrong place because they didn't put finance as the fiscal representative. So those are things that we do need to double check. We need to emphasize. So we do plan on doing training. How it goes through the chair, quite honestly, we don't have that policy set up in that direction. It'll be a modification of what we're looking here. It's a pretty good policy. We're going to restructure it a little bit, take into account, and whatever the final change is, we definitely will be doing training.
Yeah,
And bulk it
I'm
up
just
to that.
trying to think of ways to take the load off finance as much as possible. And if you can train individual
Yes.
departments and offices to, hey, do a better job, or maybe not better, because a different way, you know, you could say better, I guess, and to present to you so it's in better shape when you get it to check for compliance.
Yep, and a lot of that is done right now one-on-one with whoever is administering the grant, just because there's such variability between state agencies and between federal agencies, how they all interpret the same set of rules and what they want to have happen and how reporting has to look and you know what basis of accounting they want their reporting done in. So it's hard to have a blanket one size fits all, because some of it is case by case, but absolutely, whether it's group training or just one-on-one, go and visit and say, here, this is what we need to do. Ideally, we get, we're aware of grants in the application process, and we get all the related documentation, and we have opportunity and adequate time to review and reconcile any financial reporting before it gets submitted every quarter. I mean, that's kind of the minimum of what we're looking for here, and that's really, I don't see any of those steps really slowing down or encumbering the process.
So with this, I did propose a motion. Technically, we didn't really need one, but because of the import of this issue, we wanted to bring it to your attention and more or less formalize it and give us a blessing to look to do this policy rewrite.
All right, well, I will move to approve administration and finance staff to explore options to increase grant management compliance and report back to the board for final direction.
Second.
Been moved to second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay. Consideration. Review and discussion of translation survey. And that's that.
Would you like to start off, Commissioner, or?
Well, I think actually, Matt, you did it in the written description on the agenda. You did a very good job. For me, when we talk about we want to be a county that communicates well, and we want to be someone who is leading in terms of community relations. We have a very large population as a percentage in Morrow County that either speaks only Spanish or Spanish is the language that they are most comfortable with. And if we're going to be communicating with that population, we need to be speaking in Spanish in some capacity. And I wish I could do it myself, but I can't. And I think we should have these meetings translated in some capacity. And Matt has got several options right there. My personal preference would to be having in-person translation that has a microphone that could then also be put on Zoom. And so it could be both for in the room and outside the room. And anyone who's inside the room could put on a headset and then hear it. When I was in Mexico, I was in the opposite place where I would go to places and I was the person who didn't know what was going on. And we went to a church where we would have headsets and then we had a translator. And so the sermon would be translated to us and in English, and it worked just fine, I thought. So I would like to see us do something similar, where we could have that for anyone in the room could potentially listen with a headset, and then anyone online, they've got live translation of what's going on. That's my thought.
Any questions of Gus?
Justin. The day when I first came on, there's a bunch of this. And then you figure out how people can, if they're watching right now, if they're on Zoom and they wanted to hear it in any other, well, I don't want to say any other language, but there's a large list of other languages that in their own Zoom settings that they can have it translated.
That's correct. I think and the memo talked about how there may be some delay aspect on it also, but at least how we did it before, there was the option of when you log in, you can say what your language is. And you could say it's Spanish. And so the audio comes over, but then it'll be transcribed at the bottom, like a live transcription of what's being said, like converting from English to Spanish. I don't know the delay
Closed
aspect.
captioning.
Closed captioning. I think we started doing that. Particularly, there were some of the nitrate issues, I think, when it first came up, had people listening in. And that was the option at that point. I think it's probably still the same. The difference being, and we may have said it, I don't know if we tested it out where if you had a person calling in or on Zoom and they were speaking Spanish, if we set it up where they would be showing what they were saying, translated to English, not audio, but having the text translated on our screen. I think we utilized that before. I try to remember where we had somebody wanting a public comment or something else. They spoke in Spanish and we saw it in English, but I don't remember for sure. But that was a process we set up on Zoom, I remember. And I think the only weird part too was how weird it worked out because all those individuals were in via Zoom, but that wouldn't work for a person if they were here in person, I guess. That'd be a weird, different thing where if they were in person, that wouldn't be an option, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, the recordings of the meetings, I think, are pretty solid. YouTube, you just go to closed captioning and the AI has the language on there. Even on Zoom, there's a way to do it. It's really the derp is if we had a contingency of English as a second language Spanish speakers that wanted to engage because they had an issue with we would either have to have pre-arrangements for that or we'd be trying to grab someone to translate on the spot. Now, typically we have like Mr. Combo during the land use issue brought someone of their own, but where they represent 40+% of our population, I understand, Commissioner Peterson's desire to close that loop if we need to, but so we just wanted to have that discussion as the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, any other further questions on that, or Gus? There's no suggested motion subject to the direction of the board.
Gotcha.
Discussion.
Well, Jeff, are you saying that you would rather keep things as they are? Or
I think so, because today as an example, we had no public in here. So we'd have additional overhead costs for nothing. I can't see everybody that's on Zoom, but by the most part, it looks like staff. If somebody, and I guess before I move on that part, but is that the only time that public gets any input is for 3 minutes at the start of the meeting. We don't allow them to interject during the middle of our business meeting. So if somebody is interested in knowing what's going on that doesn't speak English as their preferred language, they have other means to be caught up and up to date on what's happening. They can watch YouTube and it will be in whatever language if they want to do it real time. I believe that the technology is out there. that they can see what's going on in real time.
Okay.
So I don't see that there is a large need that the benefit outweighs the cost, that because having someone here full time would not be a significant amount. Is, you know, maybe if there was a large contingent, somebody was going to come, well, it's like we have to make other accommodations for people's other things, but they have to notify us ahead of time. So then at that point, you know, if they want to notify us ahead of time, then we make those accommodations to have somebody here that can translate for them. But as just a matter of fact of every meeting, no, I believe that if you want to be informed on what's going on, there are means for you to be informed on what's going on.
If I could make a comment, since I originally wrote this over, 3 weeks ago or whatnot, I know Chair Sykes, big advocate on the AI translation services, and I became aware that our public health group has a handheld translator that can be used that does real-time translating. Now it's AI, so there's some issue with that. But she said, you know, it's been easier than trying to get on the language line in some issues when their translator wasn't available. We could potentially look into trying to get one of those, try it out, and have that available here if someone were to pop in for public comment in person that's a Spanish speaker, and utilize that rather than having an employee translator sitting on hand.
Or a health department has a.
That's what she'd mentioned to me. And she said, yes.
So I can speak, you know, I haven't used it personally, but I'm sitting behind somebody that's doing this. My wife works company that's predominantly Hispanic. And there's probably only 3 people there that English is, or Spanish is not their native language. And we were at both a wedding and funeral, and one of the English is the main language people, he was sitting in front of us. He was using his phone and it would translate, you know, closed caption, so he could see exactly what the priest was saying during both the wedding and the funeral. It would translate right there. So I don't know if it's an app or just Google Translate. But there's technology that's available for anybody that comes that wants to.
Well, I would like for us to make that available if we can. I don't want other people to have those resources in order to access them, but I would love to see what the health department is using, and if that's something we could replicate.
Yeah.
Well, what if we had Robin? What is it? Is it?
It's a device. It's small, handheld, pretty much designed for it. And I think it can be audio, but if Commissioner Peterson would like to review that with us and we can just look at it, it's not.
See, we have people working in the health who speak Spanish.
We do, but occasionally they're not available.
No.
Yeah.
Finish my question. What if they were to come with a device and have that Spanish person here and do a test run, say?
Yeah.
And then that Spanish speaking person could tell us, you know,
what
was the heck you guys talking about?
Yeah,
You know,
I
I mean, you know, just declared martial law in Spanish, you know.
Yeah, let's not do that.
That'd be good. All right, see what I'm saying? So then we could, you know, just
Basically demonstrate it.
get a demonstration. You know, and then maybe we could just get more of those devices or something.
Okay.
So we can definitely look into that. Like I said, that came up after this was originally submitted, and I didn't think to update it because we just talked about that just recently.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need a motion for that then. Let's go ahead and just look at it. Maybe we'll revisit it and add those to something that we purchase in the future.
Okay. All right.
And maybe we can, if that works the way it is, maybe we have a Spanish speaker in Irrigon and see how it works.
Oh, we could also potentially have a Zoom channel where the audio, if we connected it.
Okay, next up is the last one, item 60, consideration of locating finance department to the county Irrigon office.
Man. Appreciate the opportunity. We had reviewed with the Board of Commissioners a couple meetings ago about the possibility of relocating finance up to the Irrigon office. We offered this as because the specialized qualifications of some of the finance staff positions, we believe that being a little bit closer to larger population bases would encourage better recruitment and retention of those employees. In doing so, I reached out to all the potentially impacted departments that were in Irrigon. We had a meeting and kind of talked through some issues and some challenges there. And I got to tell you, I was looking at some radical things about, reducing the size of the break room and everything. But then a pretty simple solution was brought up, and I'm going to share my screen if I can. And just show you what we are looking at doing. So this is a scan of our fire escape plan. And just to give you, most of you know that on this north side, we have the sheriff's office here. We have the veterans in this area, secured access. We have juvenile, which uses this conference room quite a bit. We then have the justice court that takes over a good portion. We have the district attorney's office and a file room here. We have planning over here, and then we've had these satellite offices for commissioners, and we appreciate that you allowed us to use that for staffing. We have Vincent here with the assistant county administrator and community services there. We have risk and procurement in this office, and then Ramey is sitting there. We also have the county clerk has an office there. As we talked, we have this large white space area that used to be it used to house the public transit area, and we've moved them to Boardman. The proposed space allocation is fairly simple in that I was looking for more space than what finance feels that they need. In relocating them, we would put the finance manager in the old transit office, and we would propose building either it's a high wall cube or a hard wall office here to house the two positions, which would include the AP clerk and the fiscal financial analyst position. This would put them adjacent to the risk and procurement officer. And then Kevin, as he's up there generally twice a week, he's been using the empty deputy district attorney's office, which is in this corner. As we had the district attorney here, as part of this discussion, we discussed possibly flipping these offices and having the district attorney be up there, assigned there, and he would hotel with the potential deputy district attorney, so they'd share an office there, and that the finance manager would be over here. While that's a separation from his department, there's some benefits of that separation, just some of the conversations that go through. The nice thing is he'd still be here. We'd also look to officially designate that empty cube over by the community services area as a touchdown cube for facilities and parks as they come and fair as they come and engage with Ramey as the administrative assistant for that group. So the impact is fairly minimal. We have funds for furniture improvements that we could put towards the office there potentially. And so it would be creating a hard wall there, a cubicle wall, and getting furniture for those areas. I believe we could take care of that for less than $30,000, which is within what we currently have budgeted for furniture and improvements in that area. Could facilitate that change. Now, as far as services for the finance department down in the south part of it, the county. We would still be having the finance director come down and spend a couple days down here in Heppner as he interacts with department heads, myself and the elected officials. The biggest thing is filing would likely still retain here for long-term archives. We would have a current year and previous year filing there at Irrigon. That would be with files right outside of the clerk's office, and then the previous years in the IT office and file cabinets there. With that, we would like to consider implementing that to affect those changes. We like to open it up for any questions or concerns. There are some processes, particularly dealing with the elected officials that are down on the south end, that we need to work through. One of the ones that we're most acutely aware of, just interactions between treasurer and the finance department. There's not really an exchange of funds or money, hard currency between the two, but there is a need to make sure that there is coordination and continued communication between those groups. That is something we're very aware of as we consider this relocation of finance. With that, I'd open up to any
Okay,
questions.
what's driving this is staffing.
Staffing. We're down 2 individuals.
Okay, I understand that. You said it had 6 people. Where did those, what does it say right here? We had 6 people in his positions over there.
We've had 6 people in the AP clerk position over the last 3 years.
Where did they live?
Your 6 people that have been through, have they all been South County?
Boardman, I Heppner, at least for the last 4.
Um,
4 Boardman was, or not Heppner, right? So I own Boardman. I own Heppner.
yeah, I think only one's been
Okay, so you had
up north.
5 of them from South County. How would moving there to Oregon improve the keeping people like that?
Well, I don't
I
want
think
to.
it'd make it harder. Because then they'd have to join up here.
I don't want to comment too much because we're currently interviewing, but at this point, we are seeing a pretty significant lack of qualified applicants. The thought is that we would obviously expand our this much deeper labor pool up in the north end of the county. We're not getting local applicants right now. That would be a good fit. Look at it's a 20, yes, I think it's around a $55,000 a year position, if I don't recall the exact pay range. That limits us. Folks, if somebody's driving 55 miles each way, whether it's from Hermiston or Boardman, that's gonna chew up 15 to 22% of your compensation just in gas. It's not a pay range that you typically see somebody commute over an hour for each way. In terms of the finance manager, we got lucky and fortunate when we found the prior person, but we are having the same challenges with potential applicants. We have done a couple of interviews for those positions, and for that position, the question from the couple of folks that we've interviewed was, well, one was a statement. They didn't realize it was in the South County and wanted to know if they could have a hybrid work schedule because didn't think that South County was feasible. And the other was same desire was from the north end and didn't really have a strong interest in commuting. And that was for the finance manager position, which is substantially higher compensated than the accounting analyst. Now, I can't say that this is gonna solve that. Maybe people just don't want to work at the county. I don't really know. I can tell you I've been hiring finance and accounting staff in Morrow and Umatilla counties for the better part of 15, 16 years now, and I've never had the difficulty that we're having here in terms of attraction and retention.
So basically what you're offering in is, you think they're gonna come out of, we mentioned Board, do you think they're gonna come out of Hermiston? Where are you gonna?
Hermiston, Irrigon, Boardman, those are all within a reasonable driving
No,
distance
no,
of.
reasonable. Where's the labor available? People, the trained people in Board, is there a bunch of them in Boardman that, because of what I'm saying is, you're offering, well, we're gonna offer you a drive from Hermiston to Irrigon instead of Hermiston to Heppner. That would be the offer to them, because you're not seeing a lot.
Right, because it's a 20-minute drive versus an hour and 10-minute drive.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to get, where you see your labor pool at, it's not Irrigon, it's in Hermiston.
Not necessarily, Chair. I mean, we've filled a requests from, candidates from Boardman and Irrigon area within county about, can we work up north?
And we just looked at an example where there were 6 of them and 5 of them were from South County.
In more or less the entry level position, and because of I would say several of them kind of self-selected out just because of the scale and the specific needs of that position is a little bit more than just your entry level financial position elsewhere. Just the volume that the county generates. We need people that are a little bit more experienced and capable of handling the volume that the county does. It leads to, when you just have people who are just looking for a job, this is not just a looking for a job position. This is even with the entry position, it's compensated very competitively with surrounding areas and entities. While it is our finance entry position, it's a pretty heavy duty position.
So you're behind right now, correct? And the longer this gets put off, potentially there are more significant consequences for the finance department.
That's an understatement.
Understatement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where yes.
Did we talk remote work again? It came before the bills.
So I think where we're at with our systems and with our processes and workflow, I'm not sure that a regular remote work schedule would really be beneficial. Like right now, at least the accounting technician or the clerk level position, we have too much paper for that to really be an option. For finance manager, certainly there's times when there may be a project or analysis or something that needs to be done, and it may be beneficial to actually go somewhere else where you can't be interrupted. But I think as a general rule or a standard, I'm not sure that I think that's a great option for Morrow County for the finance department here.
Well, just to make sure I understand this, how many Heppner staff would be required to drive to Irrigon?
Well, there's only Sabrina and myself at this point. So, and she's in Ione.
So she'd have to drive to Irrigon. Well, it could be a possibility. She says, I don't want to drive to Irrigon, just like a person from Hermiston says, I don't want to drive to Heppner. That's possible. He could lose. I mean, if you tell one person. Yeah.
Jeff, do you have any thoughts?
I can see where they're coming from, is that any place where you have a larger population, you have a larger candidate pool for employees, and commute time is, a big thing, and is, everything I hear, especially with the younger generations, it's the whole work-life balance. You're less time on the road. Getting to or from work means you have more time to do what you want. So it seems like it has an opportunity to attract a lot more candidates.
Now, you said that you don't think remote work could work at all, correct?
For the accounting technician position, I don't think so. For for the finance manager position, occasionally as needed if circumstances warrant it, but I don't know that I would support it as a regular standard work schedule.
What about contract?
Well, that's kind of the path that I'm going down right now to backfill. That is certainly another option. We can, look at expanding services with an accounting firm to do that work, but I looked at that as the least desirable, because then you're taking those jobs completely out of Morrow County. It's not a north end, south end thing at that point. It's probably in another state, and it's typically going to be a little bit more cost prohibitive.
Well, I don't think that this has to be a permanent decision either way, but I am ready to make the motion. I move to approve the relocation of the finance department to the Irrigon Building.
Second.
Been moved to second for the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Okay, motion passed. That's the last business side.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now we have correspondence. I'm sure we got a good letter from the neighborhoods.
Letter of appreciation for the donation to the van. So they just wanted to express their appreciation to you. It's very much.
Oh. Okay, commission reports. Jeff, anything?
So this was yesterday as the CDA meeting. Week before, we were supposed to have the CDA meeting out at the Oregon Trail kiosk site on the depot. And because of the not being able to have Zoom and stuff, the abundance of caution, Executive Director Greg Smith had cleared it with the ethics department and said that we would not have been in violation. We could have had the meeting, but out of the abundance of caution, since we weren't able to have a Zoom option or a telephone call-in option, we did not have the meeting, but we did have the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction project out there, which would be the road linking from the interchange off of Westland Road 92, proceeding west across the CDA property to the west side of the property in Morrow County. Then also there is a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Oregon Trail kiosk site. And yesterday was the CDA. And
I think the CDA meeting went super great.
oh, like every CDA meeting. So Justin, any updates have you heard on the litigation? I mean, they kind of touched on it, but not really at all, because
Don't forget for litigation update on that. I know they're still working on the resolution, the draft language on it. Last update is about maybe 3 weeks ago, just saying, oh, they're still looking over the language. Nothing like would change. It wasn't an update saying, oh, no, we're done. It isn't gonna work out. It's more like, oh, we're just getting the paperwork's done. And it doesn't seem like these admitted attorneys it's a huge, maybe not a rush, but I thought at first it'd be like, oh, we're gonna rush this, let's get it done, and nobody else is.
yeah, I think
that same way was a little bit interesting.
I think some of us would really like to see this done and behind us with. I guess the one thing I was going to get a clarification from you two is that the part of the discussion is that the Port of Morrow said that they're not going to be the fiscal agent anymore for the CDA. You know, they've made that announcement several months ago. So they're still in the process of looking at it. I have not volunteered Morrow County because finance staff is overloaded and other reasons. But that will continue to be my position unless you two direct me otherwise.
No, we're at capacity.
I assume that was the response, but I'm giving you the opportunity to change my representation.
Thank you.
But that's all I have.
No, looking forward to the district meeting on Friday for AOC and hopefully we can have some good discussion.
Then we're gonna get ready to go into executive session. It'll be under ORS 192-6602I, which allows the commission to executive session to review and evaluate the employment related performance of the chief executive officer of any body, employee, or staff member does not request an open hearing. ORS 192-6602H, which allows the commission to read the executive session to consult with counsel concerning the local rights of the public body with regards to litigation or litigation likely to apply. We have another part about it. Okay, so we will now go out of session.
Clarification, Dave, there's nobody going to be attending remotely via Zoom.
Dan?
Going to for the second item.
Okay.
So we could put media in waiting room and then bring them in for the second item.
Or we could look the items and take care of the one first.
The litigation first.
Yes.
Okay, just
Okay with that, but he did just say which one we were going to do.
just to clarify something. I do want Justin to be here for part of A. So. I guess flipping it to be first is good. Not him safely doing it. Okay. So. Short. Yeah.
Okay. We are admitting people.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting back into, okay, you got everybody in?
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting back into open session. There will be no action by the Board of Commissioners. So at this time, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Oh, before we sign off, there will be a work session at 1:30 this afternoon.
Did I see Valerie Ross?
We have time for day lunch. That's nice.
Thank you for having her do that.